It began in silence. No warning, no signal, just a strange woman walking into a police station in Paris, barefoot, confused, speaking a broken version of modern French mixed with words no one recognized. She said her name was Elia, and she claimed to be from the year 3906. Not 2099, not even 3000. 3906. The officers thought it was a mental breakdown. She looked normal, early 30s, athletic build, sharp eyes, but her pulse was irregular. Her temperature was lower than average, and her retina scan returned nothing. She didn't exist in any database, not even Interpol. They called the doctors. She didn't resist. Calm, observant. She just asked one thing. What's the current solar alignment status? What? That was only the beginning.
In the following hours, authorities began to dig deeper. She underwent medical tests. Her blood had anomalies, unidentifiable markers, not alien, just unfamiliar. A neurologist reported a dense cluster of neural connections in areas of the brain most people barely use. Her memory recall was immediate, photographic. She could memorize documents in seconds. And her knowledge? Unnerving. Elia described cities suspended in orbit above oceans. She spoke of artificial atmospheres, of massive biological computers grown rather than built. She explained that, in her time, humanity had reached beyond Mars and Venus, but chose to retreat, building Earth into a perfectly self-contained intelligence ecosystem. No wars, no politics, only function. And then she dropped a name. Project Chrysalis. No one had heard of it, but it sounded real.
What really shook people wasn't her knowledge of the future. It was her description of our time. With precision and eerie calm, she outlined events happening right now. Political unrest in Asia, a cyber attack scheduled for that very week, a blackout in Canada before it even made the news. She even predicted the sudden collapse of a major financial institution. 36 hours later, it happened. Now they had their attention. Security agencies from Europe and the US got involved. Still, she remained cooperative. She didn't ask for a lawyer, she didn't panic. Her only demand was to send a message to what she called the Temporal Coordination Nexus. No one knew what that meant. And then came the map.
Elia drew it by hand. Not a map of the Earth as we know it, but a geotemporal grid. Points of entry and exit. Temporal scars, areas where time had thinned. She circled 3 locations, one in Siberia, one deep under the Pacific, and one in the Vatican archives. She called them stabilizers, anchors that held linear time together. And according to her, one of them was failing. She explained that our century was a pivot point, a decision fork. Humanity would either ascend to its next evolutionary phase or collapse under synthetic entropy. In plain terms, she said AI, if unregulated, would fracture time, not just reality, time itself. To prove her claims, she offered a test. She described an object buried beneath the old metro tunnels of Paris. She even gave coordinates. A special task force went down and found it, a small capsule made of an alloy no one could identify. Inside, a data chip, encrypted. It took 3 days to open. The contents? Technical blueprints for a quantum engine. A design 10 years beyond anything the brightest minds had sketched. The language matched nothing known, except it matched hers. Now the game changed. Elia wasn't just a curiosity, she was a problem.
high-level containment followed. Her access to the outside world was severed. She didn't flinch. She called them. It was expected. She said she wouldn't be here long, that the window would close soon. But before it did, she revealed one more thing. In her future, humans no longer died in the traditional sense. Consciousness was transferred, bodies regenerated, identity preserved. But with time travel came limitations. Only once per person, and only if they were marked, genetically tagged for re-entry. She showed them a sequence encoded in her DNA, a type of quantum ink. She was, in every possible way, a one-way traveler.
Then she asked to speak to a boy, a specific boy, 12 years old, living in a small town in Romania. No one knew how she knew him. His name wasn't famous, he wasn't rich, but she said he carried a mutation that could change the course of time. She begged to meet him. The boy was brought in under extreme protection. What happened in that room was never made public, but a few days later, Elia vanished. No doors opened, no alarms triggered. One moment she was sitting, still and silent. The next, she was gone. Not a trace.
The official report dismissed it as mass delusion, psychological manipulation, or possibly an elaborate hoax involving experimental technology. But off the record, whispers grew louder. Multiple agents quit, 2 doctors went silent, and the boy? He disappeared with his family weeks later. Some say they were relocated, others say they were taken. There are theories, of course, that Elia was part of a covert future program, that she was a test subject, a scout, a warning, or worse, a correction. One thing certain, she wasn't insane. She was something else.
And here's the final twist. Months after her disappearance, astronomers recorded a spike in deep space quantum echo patterns. The signals resembled entangled bursts, brief, intense, and seemingly artificial. One of them, when decoded, translated into a single phrase: window stabilized, timeline realigned, iteration holds. No one knew what to make of it, but someone did. A private firm filed a patent for the quantum engine Elia described, quiet, under the radar. Less than a year later, rumors began to circulate of a prototype that bent light around itself, that erased delay between cause and effect, that moved before it existed. No photos, no proof, just whispers. But you can feel it, can't you? Something is changing. So, was she real? Did a woman truly arrive from the year 3906 to warn us? Maybe. Or maybe we're part of the warning. Maybe we are the pivot she spoke about. And if that's the case, then every choice matters. Every advancement we rush into, every system we let slip out of our hands, it's not just about survival. It's about time. Because it's not linear. It's a loop. And someone, somewhere in the future, is watching to see if we get it right before they come back again.